Hello friends and welcome to another fresh episode of your favorite show on television. It's called Tech with TG. मेरा नाम है गौरव AK TG और मैं हर नए एपिसोड में आपके साथ टेक की कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग बातें करता हूँ. Well, अगर आपको भी लग रहा है कि there is something off in today's episode, the background is not usually what you see. Well, the simple fact is that today we are not shooting on set. In fact, I'm shooting in front of a green screen. But the fact is कि मैं चुटकी बजाते ही सेट लेके आ सकता हूं और आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा. Well guys, today's episode is quite exciting because आज हम बात करने वाले हैं about visual effects. चाहे वो आयरन मैन वाली मूवी हो या कोई और तरह का content, I am sure on a daily basis while you scroll through your phone, you see tons of visual effects. और जब थिएटर में जाएंगे, definitely you are surrounded by all the visual effects in all your favorite movies. Let's understand the science behind these effects and how exactly technology has advanced from Jurassic Park to modern day marvels. काफी मजा आने वाला है. Let's start this episode. जल्दी से आगे बढ़ते हैं. चलिए शुरू करते हैं. Friends, what an exciting topic for today's episode. I mean, visual effects, how exciting that, just by the help of a computer, just by the help of some nice shooting techniques, we are able to change the entire world around the sets और हम achieve करते हैं something very unreal. Now, okay, for a fact, if you have a very strong script, it does not need any kind of visual effects, but they are there to enhance. हम बात कर सकते हैं shooting the International Space Station, talk about people on a different planet, या एक ऐसी वीडियो जहाँ पे animals बात कर रहे हैं. I mean, the ideas are endless, and that's where visual effects are very essential. And मजे की बात, the best visual effects are those जिसको आप नोटिस ना कर पाए, जो आपके नजर में अलग से निकल के ना आए. while you're watching a movie, it should just flow nicely. मतलब आप देख भी लें और उसके बारे में सोचे भी ना. That's where the polishing is required. Guys, let's talk to an expert to learn more about what's the science of visual effects and what's happening in the industry.
Hi, my name is John Paite. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of India here at Monks.
Hello. My name is Liju. I head production here in India at Monks. And here today we're here to talk about VFX, which means visual effects. And if I give you a small or a very easy explanation, what visual effects means is any technique or any trick, or I'd rather say any digital technique or digital trick that we use to manipulate what you see on screen or to manipulate what has actually been shot is what the perfect example would, or the perfect definition I would say for VFX is.
So, in a simple language and breaking it down very basic to the basic level, if you shoot something, if you shoot a footage, anything that you add after with your computer generated imagery or subtract or enhance, those three things, keep in mind, those three things are the one that sums up visual effects as we call it today. So the common scenarios where you would be able to see, and the good examples where visual effects are applied in films, I would say would be the Hulk, for example, or any Avengers movie. Visual effects fundamentally is used broadly in most of the films today, but it's usually hidden to the eyes, and it's very subtle for a normal person to catch on. But I think the best example would be taking the Hollywood films like Avengers, the Hulk, where the character does not exist in real life and could only be created in computer-generated imagery.
Yeah, actually, I'm searching or think about it. All something that all the viewers of this show definitely have seen. Think about any of those Star Wars movies, or think about any of those Marvel superhero movies. All those spaceships, all those aliens, all that outside world, of course it doesn't exist. So where do you think all of that comes from? That is where VFX is applied. So
even as simple as the lightsaber in Star Wars, because those things does not exist. It does not have to be an entire world per se, but it could all be a small thing. So those are the things that I think really kind of complements visual effects and enhance and kind of brings out I think the director's vision or his imagination to picture. That's really important. That's really important part where visual effects kind of assist the filmmaking process.
So, I'm like, the thing is that the reason why India is becoming major hub is because of the multiple factors, especially two main factors for that matter. एक तो ये कि हमारे पास टैलेंट की बिल्कुल कमी है. We have enough and more people who are really good at what they do in the world of VFX. And secondly, these same people, the same talent comes at a fraction of a cost when you compare it to the rest of the world. So अब ये सोचिए, अगर आप एक डायरेक्टर या स्टोरी टेलर को ये बोलेंगे कि आपका काम उतना ही अच्छा होगा, इनफैक्ट इफ नॉट बेटर एंड एट अ फ्रैक्शन ऑफ कॉस्ट, कोई the world will not say no to it. So there's no way that India will not become a more significant hub in the coming years. In fact, even right now, it's one of those hubs which is producing. I don't know if you guys know, but we're actually producing some of the best VFX films in the entire industry, for that matter.
So, visual effects is the key part that would transform the director's vision or his imagination into real life picture. I think that's where it's really coming to aid the director. Now there's a lot of good technology where even not just a director but a cinematographer can actually hold up a camera and kind of already see a preview of how computer generated will interact with real people. This was used in a film like Avatar, the first one, even back then. Lion King, that's the second one that where they use. So it's really come into play. Not just before, what used to be was that, I could only work within what a real life situation, a real life location, a real life character would be available to me. But now directors can go wild on their imagination in their storytelling, which is super important part of any kind of content creation. To bring that to life, they are not limited anymore to explore all kind of possibilities that anything that they can imagine now can be created and brought to life. Harry Potter, yes, there's no flying staircases, there's no flying ball with a wing, but I think it comes through. At this point, I feel that the author kind of have that imagination on a book. Then later on, once visual effects has really kind of elevated in the industry, then they could and the technology likewise, they could transform that book, which was only possible in a book, into a film, which we all completely enjoyed. Now, we can cover a lot of different type of visual effects, but again, it gets a little complex as we go deeper down. I want to cover probably like 5 major VFX that we see extensively used in all departments, right? In all production, I would say. Number 1 would be CGI, like a complete build of something that does not exist. Character, Hulk, for example, right? That is something which is completely built from computer. So that's called CGI, which is computer generated imagery, built from scratch. The second thing I would add in would be, for example, camera tracking. What is really camera tracking is if I have to put that same Hulk on, let's say, on the floor over here in front of the practical camera for him to exist this, and especially if the camera is moving, he will be floating because this does not exist in VFX, CGI. So for him to be stuck to the ground and not just float around, camera tracking is very, very essential and necessary for a CGI character to be presented and to be blended seamlessly into the real world. That's number 2. Number 3 would be motion capture. Yeah. Motion capture is something, again, if you look at the way that we move, the way that our face move, our expression, it's a very intricate movement, which by hand, for an animator, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible to create that kind of realistic movement, especially on the face. That's where you get performance capture or motion capture, where there's a tiny camera that's been held on a helmet or a headgear that just films your expression with dots on your faces, where it picks up those cues and dots and transform that into point clouds and points in computer, where automatically it can map to the CGI character's face. So that if I'm smiling or if I'm talking, my natural motion and movement of my mouth, my cheeks, my eyebrows, everything is translated seamlessly to the character's face, right? Likewise, if you're talking about limbs and motions and movements, you wear a gear with motion capture gear, and likewise you can kind of like translate the running or the jumping or the flipping or the walking or the sitting, anything can be seamlessly translated to the character which is computer generated, thereby making extremely, I would say, efficient for production houses and CGI and design studios to implement more graph. So the fourth one is rotoscopy. Rotoscopy is like cutting out. I think in a simple term, it's just cutting out people. That means that sometimes, some wires might be visible. Some people, maybe the crew, the production team may be visible. This is a very simple term. And kind of cutting them out is something which rotoscopy is needed. Rotoscopy comes obviously with, a lot of tedious kind of work. I think this is where, but it's a very basic, at the same time, needs to be very specialized department, because the workflow is basic, but it's tedious, and there's a lot of intricate motion in that. So think of it as you draw something on a piece of paper, right? Rotoscopy is taking a scissor and cutting out that exactly in the outline that you draw. Think of it, you do that digitally. That's pretty much rotoscopy in a nutshell. Okay? The last one, I want to cover the film.
Compositing.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
The last one that I want to cover would be compositing. That's the magic of it all. Because compositing is, I would say, the process of taking different things from different departments, right? For example, from CGI, getting the character of the Hulk, right? From FX department, taking things like fire and smoke, and then kind of putting them together, taking from the editing table the footage that has been shot, and blending those multiple things, assets that are coming from different departments, blending them together to give you a final output. And where the Hulk is in New York, in the middle of a battleground, where smokes are all kind of like all around him, rubbles all around him. That's the work of a compositor who puts them all together. There's a footage, there's a CGI character, there are smokes and fire which are made in which are made in effects, and then there's also the
Compositing.
I would say there's also the film that has been shot, the plates which has been shot. So all of this compositing puts it together. That's the magic ball.
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक टू योर फेवरेट शो अराउंड टेक्नोलॉजी। मेरा नाम है गौरव और आप देख रहे हैं आपका फेवरेट शो टेक विद टीजी। एंड टेल मी कि लास्ट टाइम ऐसा कब हुआ कि आपने कोई मूवी देखी हो और आपको लगा कि ये मूवी को शूट कैसे किया गया होगा। गाइज हो सकता है उसको एक नॉर्मल रूम में शूट किया हो, बट देन विजुअल इफेक्ट्स को बाद में कंप्यूटर्स की मदद से ऐड कर दिया हो, बेसिकली क्रिएटिंग समथिंग वेरी अनरियल टू लुक लाइक अ रियलिटी इज ऑल अबाउट विजुअल इफेक्ट्स। और आज के इस एपिसोड में हम इसी के बारे में बात करने वाले हैं। लेट्स कंटिन्यू द इंटरेक्शन विद द एक्सपर्ट टू लर्न मोर अबाउट दिस इंडस्ट्री एंड हाउ इट हैज प्रोग्रेस्ड ओवर द ईयर्स एंड वेयर डज इट स्टैंड टुडे एंड हाउ एग्जैक्टली द फ्यूचर लुक्स लाइक। स्पेशली एआई का भी इसके अंदर काफी इंटरेस्टिंग रोल होने वाला है। लेट्स कंटिन्यू द इंटरेक्शन और कुछ जानते हैं नया ऑल अबाउट विजुअल इफेक्ट्स।
So when we talk about like the India becoming the capital of VFX for the entire world, there's also another stream that a lot of people are not talking about or probably scared of. But that's something that I'll let John talk about because he's also leading that entire workflow for monks. Something that I have myself been amazed with. John, you wanna?
So what we are talking about here is artificial intelligence or AI, right? There's a lot of myth in the market that AI is taking over the job of so and so. Is AI replacing us? But it's not really. AI is a tool that we can use in our day to day to make our life better. If you are refusing to adapt with an open mind, AI, yes, we could be replaced by it. But if you adapt to it and make sure that it's in your workflow and AI, it can tremendously help you. And it's something that at Monks over here, we are taking a sincere practice to use AI in our daily workflow. And we have been experimenting with a lot of our production pipeline as well as our campaign and things like that in films as well. So advertising also uses AI a lot, but if I have to cover on the grounds of visual effects, the redundant workloads, something that is repeatedly needs to be done again and again, could be taken over by AI. So when that is taken over by an AI, the artist can concentrate on creativity, can concentrate on beautifying things, right? Doesn't have to spend overnight on rotoscoping, which I mentioned earlier, was cutting out characters from papers, right? So they have a lot more time at their hands to concentrate on beautifying and giving the best output possible without compromising on time, because all this redundant work comes with crunch timeline. VFX suffers a lot from crunch timeline. They don't have enough time. That's why majorly there's a lot of, I would say, burnout in this department. Especially, yes, again, I'm repeating myself, but it's important. The redundant job that a computer and AI can pick up. That's where AI is really, really helping and supporting the artist. It's not a threat. It's a friend. And think of it that way, that you adapt to it with an open mind, it will help you tremendously.
So friends, that's all from this week's episode of your favorite show Tech with TG. And next time I'm sure जब भी आप कोई मूवी देखेंगे या जब भी आप कुछ ऐसा कंटेंट देखेंगे जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा साई-फाई इफेक्ट्स होंगे, आप इंस्टेंटली समझ पाएंगे कि क्या रियल हो सकता है, क्या कंप्यूटर जनरेटेड हो सकता है, किसके लिए पीछे एक वीडियो वॉल को यूज़ किया हुआ, एंड हाउ एग्जैक्टली द शूटिंग प्रोसेस would have been एक पर्टिकुलर शॉट के लिए, बिकॉज दैट्स द आइडिया ऑफ दिस शो कि जब भी आप नेक्स्ट टाइम किसी नॉर्मल चीज को देखें, हमेशा दिमाग में क्यूरियोसिटी आए एंड यू वुड वांट टू फाइंड द रियल टेक बिहाइंड इट. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this show. If you have any feedback, if you have anything to say, you know the address. It's tg@ndtv.com. Drop in all your emails. I'm gonna read all of them and I'm gonna compile some amazing episode next week के लिए. आपसे मिलूंगा same time, same location, same place. सब कुछ सेम रहने वाला है. मैं भी सेम रहूंगा. बस टॉपिक चेंज हो जाएगा. We'll dive into some interesting field of tech very, very soon. Till then, take care and have a good day.